So, with Gamera finally making his big return to, cinema in some capacity, it's been on my mind as of a few hours ago. Yeah, don't I know how to make a sentence? Basically, I was kind of thinking to myself, what other monsters that are out there that now that the big four, Godzilla, Kong, Ultraman, and now Gamera, have now gotten, the new Hollywood treatment. And it makes me wonder because there's so many other monsters out there. There's so many other kaiju and giant monsters out there that have not gotten that treatment yet. Like, they're just kind of sitting around waiting. When's it going to be my turn? When's it going to be my turn? When's Hollywood or some other studio going to bring me in? Even Daimajin made his return. Yeah, Daimajin made his... Daimajin made his return in Yokai Wars. So that was another one. Obscure, yes, but still. So, yeah, and you may be thinking, there's no other monsters out there. There's no other major kaiju out there that can, replicate the love we have for the big four. There's no other Godzilla, Kong, Ultraman, or Gamera. There's no more. I say you're wrong. I will look you dead in the eye and say you're wrong, because there are tons of other giant monsters out there, and some of them even though from not both international studios and here in America. So I'm going to talk about some monsters that I would absolutely love to see be brought in for the Hollywood treatment. So let's get started with the first monster, or rather monsters, that I think should get some love. And that first monster should be basically sorry about that. Basically, those first monsters should be the giant ants from Them. Yeah, Them is one of my favorite movies ever. Them is one of my favorite movies. If you haven't seen it, it's a film that came out in 1954, same year as Gojira, and actually follows the same themes as Godzilla, of man basically playing with radioactive energy, a power he doesn't fully understand. It also talks about, like, the effects of mankind. It talks about, like, nature coming, always getting the one-up on mankind. It's very much, it does follow, Them definitely follows the themes of Godzilla, but with giant ants. That's the difference, is that it's very much, it's just giant, it's a giant ant movie, but it was taken seriously. That was the thing. That's what I think set it apart, was that, yeah, literally, everyone, played it for real. So Them would be the ants would be a great way to really play with nuclear fears again, to really play with something. And yes, it is under Fox, now under Disney. So if Disney wants to there are other monsters out there that 20th Century Fox did in the 50s and 60s. There were tons of them. But Them was the one that is like a major one. Them was a major one, along with Tarantula and Deadly Mantis. Honestly, I think that Disney, if they want to jump into the giant monster craze, to compete with Warner Brothers, which is not hard because Warner Brothers is, dealing with a lot right now, shall we say. But having said that, though, if they want to jump in the giant monster game and have their own film, I think they should bring back Them, whether as a remake or as a long-awaited sequel to that movie now almost 70 years ago. That's what I think would be a cool idea. I really do think that would be a cool idea to really play with. Now, as for other monsters, let's go across the pond to Gorgo. Gorgo is another monster that has still had, like, longevity because of comics. Yeah, Gorgo's big in comics in Britain, apparently. And Gorgo is a monster of all the other Godzilla knockoffs, definitely had a lot of, like, love for it. There was a lot of love for Gorgo. It's not a great movie, but I do enjoy it. I do enjoy Gorgo. And I think Gorgo would definitely benefit from being brought back. Maybe as a different story or as a sequel to the original film. maybe have it that this is the Gorgo that grew up from the one that was captured. Like this is the baby that was captured. It grew up. The mom has long passed, and now it's returned since its attack in the 60s to a much more advanced Britain, who has been living in the shadow of Gorgo the whole time. Maybe even another giant monster fight wouldn't kill anyone. Well, it would definitely kill a lot of people, but in the movie, not in real life. Anyway. So Gorgo, if I was to pick any monster first and foremost, like what's the next monster that should get a major treatment, it's Gorgo. Like, it's definitely Gorgo. Following that, Reptilicus. I think it would just be hilarious to see Denmark like do a Reptilicus movie in this day and age. I love it. It's fucking ridiculous, but I love that movie. Not as a puppet, just do CGI. Also, get Dick Moss to direct the film. Who is Dick Moss, you may ask? Dick Moss is like... he's something. He's best known for doing slashers and creature features for Denmark for films in Denmark, and I think also in the Netherlands. He's known for doing a slasher film in the 80s called Amsterdamned. His recent film was a movie called Uncaged, which was a Killer Lion movie. He does a lot of horror comedy. And that's kind of what Reptilicus is in some cases. So if you want to take the ridiculousness of Reptilicus, but also make it a fun creature feature film, I would say get me Dick. Yes, that was the pun. That's the get me Dick Moss and and get him to direct the movie. Oh my god. So, you're probably thinking, well, there's someone else, right? From another country? Yeah. Yongari. Another character that I think South Korean filmmakers would love to bring back. He did come back in a god-awful American-Korean collaboration that was known as Reptilian here in America. You guys probably remember that film that was like... It was supposed to be like it was almost like an Asylum Pictures level mockbuster of fucking 98 Godzilla. Yeah, you guys that was Yongari. Yongari, for those who don't know, is a South Korean kaiju film. Not great. Fun, not great. But I think Yongari could also get a Shin Godzilla treatment and definitely play with it. I've heard back and forth that maybe they could bring back Yongari because of the new popularity of Godzilla, and with Godzilla getting a new film from Toho next year, it's possible. I do think it's possible that Yongari could show up as another monster, and this is from Japan, Gilala. Gilala would be a fun one to really play with. The last time Gilala from Monster, Gilala was... he was in a parody film, I think. So, that was something. But I think you could do a fun adaptation with him. Getting back to the Americas, real quick, now that I've talked about the other major kaiju across the planet, well, most of them. I would love to see a new interpretation of the Giant Behemoth, also from that was a British collaboration, so that'd be cool. The Giant Behemoth would be a really cool one. I think this isn't really a kaiju, but I would love to see a remake of Valley of Guanjay. That was one of my favorite movies as a kid, and it's still one of my favorites ever. It's cowboys versus dinosaurs. How do you think I love... Why do you think I love that movie? Or why do you think I think of weird shit? It's because Ray Harryhausen provided weird shit for me to watch as a kid. Anyway, I think that, again, Giant Behemoth would be cool. Hear me out. I think you can do the Giant Claw. I really do think you can do a remake in this day and age of the Giant Claw and make it interesting. I do think you can do that. Don't make it a parody. Don't make it a comedy or whatever. Yes, that puppet is god-awful. Let's get that out in the open. Let's get this all out of the way. That puppet is complete and total garbage. But the concept of a alien giant bird from an alternate universe of negative energy is kind of awesome. And they have to do the battleship quote. It was like, someone has to say, it's as big as a battleship. If you've seen the movie, then you know what I'm talking about. So I do think you could do the giant claw as a modern day movie. Get on that, Warner Brothers. Get on that and put the giant claw in the MonsterVerse. As for other monsters, as for other giant monsters, I think the giant squid from I think can do a remake of It Came From Beneath the Sea, the giant octopus. Another great Ray Harryhausen film. I think that, again, Tarantula would be cool. There's so many. That's the thing. There's so many monsters people just overlook. There's so many monsters that people just overlook on a whole. And now that we just have all four, what's the point? When I say there's gold in them thar hills, like an old timey prospector. Man, it is good to be getting over this cold finally, so I can bring this ridiculous amount of energy again. But yeah, there's just tons and tons of other monsters out there, and there's some out there I probably didn't even think of. So yeah, you guys tell me in the comments below, what giant monsters do you think should get another crack at the big screen? Just comment below, let me know. Other than that, I'm Mr. Multiverse. I'll see you next time in the Multiverse.